Fist flying, no bounds. Podcast kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again on a Thursday. Ready to talk about UFC 314 because that's the most exciting shit going on. But I mean, with good reason, because there's a lot of damn good fights on that card. I'm hyped for it. UFC 314 in Miami. Volkanovski versus Lopez. It's gonna be a dope fight, I think. The whole card seems, well, the main card especially seems pretty damn good. There's some good fights on the undercard. And yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it. My only regret is I won't be home to do a watch party and really get involved and get into it, because I feel like that's when the best fights always happen. That Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje, that knockout happened while I was in the same place I'm going this year, this time. Fuck, it always happens, but it's okay. I'm going to have fun with my friends at a music festival. I don't even go for the music. I go to hang out with my friends, but it's a fun time. We have a good time together, and yeah, you gotta be able to have fun while I can. I'm getting old. I'm getting older, so at least enjoy the times that I can go and have a good time. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I won't be here, but I'll definitely be watching my phone. I'll have like a tablet or something with a bigger screen too, as much as I can. And I'm going to do the best I can to keep up with posting like I do for the winners and everything like that. So be on the lookout, follow on my social media. Of course, it just went away, but it's going to be popping up right here. There it is. Well, Spotify. You can listen to the audio only version of the podcast on Spotify as well. Just so you know, I feel like I haven't said that in a while. If you're audio only type person, then yeah, you can check it out on Spotify or any platform that you get your podcast, really. It's pretty much out there everywhere. So, and if it's not, if you can't find it, let me know. I can probably get it out there. So you can also watch the video on Spotify too, but I prefer you come to YouTube and, you know, give me some views and share it with somebody so I can get some more subscribers and stuff. Get the show out there to more people. Give me some more views and stuff like that, just to grow the channel a little more, you know, keep it going. I do it all for fun though, so I can't ask for too much, but I do ask for the support. The continued support is appreciated, by the way, for everybody out there that watches all the time and, you know, comes in even if it's just for a little bit. But yeah, that's what's going on with me this week. It was a hectic day at work today. I thought I was gonna get stuck. I've been packing. I've been just doing everything. I haven't really had much time to just chill, except for when I like sat down to have some food before I got on here, because then I got to finish up everything after I'm done. So we're gonna get into it pretty quick, because I'm gonna try to get through this one quickly, but I don't know, I always ramble on, and I have a lot to say about a lot of stuff going on this week, so we'll see how it goes. But either way, appreciate everybody for being here. If you're watching this later, appreciate that as well. Make sure you share and like and subscribe and all that good shit, like you know, everybody asks you to do on YouTube. I'd appreciate it. And let me give a shout out to my sponsor, Noctane smelling salts. Always with the smelling salts, because they're good. They keep you alert, keep you awake. It's fun. Have a good time with it. Or do it seriously because you're, you know, powerlifting and you want that quick rush of adrenaline, or you're driving long distance and you're falling asleep at the wheel. This shit'll wake you up. I promise you that. And this, I'm scared right now because this is a brand new bottle, and the red cap is the most potent and the black cap is the mid strength, and the white cap is the least potent, in case you're, you know, a little worried about trying it out because you've seen reactions. Don't take my reaction for what it is 100%, because I should be used to it by now. But man, I was sick for a while. My bottle kind of dwindled a bit. It wasn't as strong. New bottles are strong, so be careful when you first get that bottle. I'm a little worried, but I'm going to get myself nice and ready to go here. I haven't even taken this is like a fresh bottle. I'm just taking this off right now. and I'm scared because I smell it already. Okay, so believe me, it's only like a couple seconds of feeling it, and then you just like feel nice and awake and alert. So take a whiff real quick. Oh, there it is. It kind of sneaks up on you sometimes. Woo! Close your eyes when you do it too. Shake the bottle before you do it. That'll activate everything. Although I didn't really need to shake it, but that was a good one. And I needed that because it's been a minute since I've had full strength Noctane. Gotta love it. This stuff is great. It's my sponsor, and I'm not saying that just because it's my sponsor. I've been using smelling salts for a while. Buddy of mine turned me onto these, and Clark, big shout out because he helped me out, and then I got a sponsorship by them. So they hooked me up with a bottle every once in a while, and Trent said, "Take it like a champ." I got it. But yeah, and you know, I just like to talk about it, and you know, tell you to go check it out. I have a link in the description down below, or you can hit that QR code and go check out their website. Go order yourself a bottle. It's not that expensive. It lasts a good amount of time, and if you take care of it, especially, it'll do you well for a long time. So show it off to your friends, have them take a whiff. Maybe somebody will like it. I've introduced that to a few people, and they've gone and bought bottles of it and liked it. So check it out. It's fun. It's nice. And now I feel great and ready to go. So let's get to it. Appreciate you, Noctane, for the sponsorship. And that's about it. So let's get into everything because there's quite a bit to talk about, including some pretty new news that happened last night. I wound up having to come and throw some extra visuals in and stuff like that because of the news that popped off last night. So let's get into all that right now. Trent's in the chat. Appreciate you, Trent, for, you know, checking in, and go follow her, Tenant Trent, everywhere on her socials, and also on here on YouTube, and especially more importantly on Twitch. Go check her out there. She's a gamer and a streamer, and yeah, I of course want to support her and shout her out, and make sure that anybody that is interested or just wants to check it out, go check it out. Go give her a follow just because, even if you're not that into gaming, because it always helps all of us that are out there. So, and you know, Trent, I always want to give you the shout out. So we were talking shop earlier with streaming and podcasting and everything like that, content, everything. It's a grind, and she knows how it is. So, yeah, of course I got to shout you out. So go check out Tenant Trend everywhere. Love you, Trend. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to talk about, and I need to get through it. So let's go. Let's start with combat sports news, starting with the newest news, the GFL. Talked about it for a while. Talked about it a couple weeks ago because we had, you know, announcements for actual bouts, matchups going on, the dates, Saturday and Sunday, May 24th through 25th, 2 events back to back, a total of like 15 fights on each card. I was pumped. I was ready because of the amount of names that were on these cards. Just looking at this poster, Henan Barrow, Paige Van Zandt, Tony Ferguson, Dylan Dennis, whatever. But Anthony Pettis, I can't even see who's behind that other one, but another big name. There was a lot. Chad Mendez, just all kinds of people. And guess what? As you can see, it's been canceled. The Saturday and Sunday fights that were going to happen on May 24th and 25th were canceled. And that's a damn shame because I was looking forward to it. And now that leads people to wonder, is this going to be an event that actually, or an organization that's actually going to wind up coming to fruition? You know, is it actually going to happen ever? I've seen everywhere already. Oh, it was doomed from the start. It's over. It's done. It's not even going to pop off. So is that the truth? I don't know, because this just happened yesterday. Now the owner came out or the owner, the founder, whatever you want to call him, came out and did have a statement. And that's this right here. He said, our primary investor didn't fulfill his April obligation, which has caused some issues. However, we have a solution in place. We are likely going to have to launch in June, but 100% moving forward. But this is problematic and it's worrisome because you have all these fighters that you are paying top dollar for. A lot of people talking about the pay and the structure and how everything's gonna work, and especially the pay. But you have all these big names, how you paying for them? And if because your primary investor didn't pay for 1 month and you're already in trouble, that's a bad sign. That's a very bad sign, especially when you have this amount of fighters. You haven't even had one event yet. You didn't even announce, like, they did. They kind of did. They had a venue, they had a date, but we haven't seen anything about like how things are gonna look, how the structure of the broadcast is gonna be. We haven't seen any of that, and just already after a couple of weeks after you announce all of the matchups and everybody's excited, it's done. It's canceled. So, and postponed, yes, maybe you see that somewhere. Postponed, yes. He says here, likely going to have to launch in June. Well, first we heard April, right? That was the first date. Then they pushed it to May, and they actually solidified it somewhat with the May dates and having the matchups and the teams and who they were fighting against, and you know what the 2-day lineups are going to look like. And now we have a cancellation. So that's never good. A lot of people had doubts about this organization in the first place. Their main thing that they spoke about, which I talked about this, what was it, last week? I talked about, you know, the GFL, and I put a card up there pointing back to the first time I talked about GFL and what the breakdown would be of the structure of the scoring, the structure of the points, the teams and how they were going to get set up and all that, the tiers and the brackets and all that shit. Well, one of the main things that they talked about with the coming of this organization was that it was going to be primarily, you know, 50-50 for the fighters with profits and all this other stuff, right? Talking about how they're going to look out for the fighters and pay and all that stuff. Well, all these fighters were planning on fighting in May. All these fighters were probably in camp already. All these fighters were expecting money. And from what I've heard, primarily from the person that broke this news about the GFL canceling the event, Ariel Awani, who's been quite the skeptic when it comes to GFL because he didn't like the structure and he wondered how, because we've seen this before. We've seen these kind of organizations try to pop up and bring all the big names, but how do they pay for it? Especially when the founder or the owner isn't the one putting up the money, which means he may be the most involved, a lot of work for nothing. Yeah, what's up, Infinity? Haven't heard from you in a bit, man. I was gonna hit you up soon, but yeah, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you checking in. But yeah, a lot of work for fucking nothing. But yeah, the primary person that has the most vested interest in this isn't the one putting up all the money, so you have to rely on other people. And with that being said, this is what can happen when you have all this kind of money involved. It's tough. And if you don't have guarantees and contracts and stuff like that, well, how do you depend on it, right? How do you start all this? I mean, the UFC came up and they were in big trouble for a long time. They were in debt for a long time, millions and millions of dollars in debt. And then the Ultimate Fighter came around and you know, you had Dana White with the speeches and you had the Fertittas putting up the money because they were the ones that were interested. They were the ones that wanted to make it work. And RIP GFL. What's up, Combat Sports Today? Appreciate you guys jumping in. Yeah, no, GFL, I don't want to say I have hope because I kind of was wondering if this is how this was going to go, but I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping they get it together. But what's going to happen if they do? What's going to happen if they do jump off in June, like they're saying they're going to? And then what? One event? How's it going to go? People already just doubting the entire thing. So is it even going to be worth it? Is anybody even going to be interested? How many views is it going to get? How's it going to, if they put the matches together, if they can keep the fighters interested and keep them on the roster, then yeah, they can still make these fights happen and people will probably watch because of the matchups. But I mean, it sounds like from what Hawani was saying, a lot of people are already like, I don't think I want to take the chance on this anymore. So, and some of them were already getting paid. So some of those people were lucky enough to have maybe got signing bonuses or something like that. But what about everybody else? They had so many fighters on the damn roster that were planning on fighting. Some of them probably gave up opportunities to be in other organizations or gave up opportunities to take other fights. And now they're not going to get paid. But you were supposed to be looking out for the fighters and having all this revenue share and all this other shit. So it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. This was one of the ones I was looking forward to because of the names involved. I didn't really like the structure myself. I don't like the team structure. I don't like the, they tried that a long time ago with IFL. They didn't have teams, but they had the season thing with PFL, and PFL is still going and stuff, but we've seen a lot of drop off because they lowered the cash amount that they get at the end for winning. There's a lot of stuff involved, and you just don't see any of these organizations thriving, and that's sad because you need competition for somebody like the UFC. The UFC can't keep every fucking relevant fighter. They can't. They go on losing streaks. They give them lots of opportunities. Look at Tony Ferguson. He was there with a 9-fight losing streak. I mean, usually after 3, they're like, you gotta go. We can't keep paying you this money just to have you keep losing, or take a significant pay cut. And they don't usually want to do that when they can go somewhere else. But if there's nowhere else to go, what the fuck do they do? You can't go back down to the regional circuit when you've been a star in the UFC for so long. That really doesn't work out. You're not going to get the money, and you're not going to get everything that the UFC brings. There's a lot of people that can't afford to put you out there and promote you the way that the UFC does. But the UFC doesn't pay you like other people promise to. But then you got to deal with shit like this. So it's a goddamn shame, in my opinion, because I was looking forward to this. I'm thinking, shit, we get 2 nights of fights, plus the UFC, plus anything else going on, the PFL, 1 championship. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of fights. I'll be watching a lot, especially with recognizable names like they had, old or not, whatever you think, washed up or not, you're still interested in these fights. You're still interested in these fighters and these names, and now you get nothing. So GFL, is Combat Sports Today correct? RIP GFL? Or is the owner speaking from what he knows, and that he knows that he can get it together and make it happen by June? Or is he just being positive and hoping for the best? I don't know. Maybe he has another investor already lined up for a backup, or to be able to carry them. But how long can it be sustained at this level? How long can they continue to put events on if they can't even get their first one started, if they can't even get their first one going? There's always bumps in the road. There's always things that might happen and unfortunate circumstances, but damn, this is a very bad one when people were already like, it's doubtful. So it's tough, man. It's tough. I'm sad about it, but we'll see what happens. I guess that's all there is to say. But that was a bombshell that got dropped, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't think it would happen this quick. I thought maybe we would see the first event and then maybe it would go away. And it's looking like we might not even get to that first event. So let's hope Darren Owen can pull it together. It didn't take him long to, release a statement of some sort. So at least he's not running and hiding just yet. But it's definitely not a good sign. And it's not a good look. Because what about all these fighters that were wanting to get paid, relying on getting paid? So sucks, but we'll see what happens. All right, so let's move on to what I was speaking about before with the PFL. They had an event, the kickoff of the World Tournament, first round last weekend on Thursday, happening during the show. I was watching it, trying to watch some of it as I was doing the show. But I circled the winners here from that main card and the early card that happened. So we had a total of 8 fights. We had Tae Young Kim beating Nathan Kelly, which a lot of people were high on Nathan Kelly, thinking he was going to win this one to get it going and continue on in the tournament. And instead, Tae Kyung Kim took the win over him instead in the 145 division. Submission by rear naked choke in the first round. Then we had Masayuki Kikuri versus Glanis Bashar. That was a KO or a TKO in the second round. And I guess Bashar retired after that. That was in the 170 division. Gabriel Braga gets the submission win over Frederick Dupras in the 145 division there. First round submission by rear naked choke. That was the early card, the prelims. Oh, there's one more left, and that's Thad John versus Makhmed Burkhamov in the 170 division as well. TKO left hook. First round finish for Thad John, which, by the way, this guy came out just talking his talk, trying to shoot his shot with Dakota Ditcheva. It was pretty funny. He kind of stopped himself, but I heard an interview with him after the fact. I mean, the dude's got a mouthpiece on him. He's definitely ready to talk some shit and talk his way into some things. So we'll see. He's kind of got that star quality a bit about him, and he's got the skills, undefeated 9-0. So he wins in the first round of this tournament, proceeds on to the next round for Thad John. So that looks like a name and sounds like a guy that I feel like we might want to look out for in the future. So he gets that finish there. That leads us to the main card, and all of the prelim fights, those 4 prelim fights, all finishes. And that's something that's notable because the UFC has been just failing in the finishing department. So they haven't had a fight of the night in like 4 events. They've only handed out performance of the night bonuses to individual fighters. They have not had an actual fight of the night. That's something I heard not that long ago, couple days ago or something. And that's a damn shame, because how do you not have a fight of the night? Because there's not a lot of finishes, a lot of decisions. Don't know what's happening there, but I feel like this weekend's UFC pay-per-view event is going to change that a bit, because I'm hopeful. I'm trying to stay positive and think positively about this event coming up, because I feel like there's a lot of banger fights on that card. Of course, obviously I'm excited about it because I keep talking about it and bringing it up, but I will definitely talk about that a little more, a little deeper in the show. I like to cover the upcoming event towards the end of the show, so stick around. I'll do the fight wheel predictions as well if you haven't seen that yet. That's just my way of circumventing my horrible betting skills. I win a lot if I was doing money line on a lot of these fighters and betting individually. I would be doing okay, because I usually have one fight that misses, but I throw in a couple parlays and it doesn't work out. I get it busted by one fucking fight. So I've been letting the fight wheel do predictions, and then I'll base some of my bets on that, or it's just something fun to do, really. So if you haven't seen it yet, stick around for the preview of UFC 314 and just bet against him. Infinity said, see, that's the running joke. Bet against my picks and you might win. I can't deny it. It's true. That's why I started doing the fight wheel. The fight wheel's been doing pretty good lately. It's had a winning record, so do what you will with those, but we'll get to it here in a little bit. But yeah, so again, the early card, the prelim card, all finishes, 2 submissions, 2 TKOs to start off the night for the tournament. Then we get to the main card. Sorry about that. Then we get to the main card. Movlid Kaibulev versus Jeremy Kennedy. Split decision win there for Kaibulev in the 145 division. That puts him at 22-0, so undefeated for Movlid. Next up, another decision. So the only 2 decisions that happened on this entire card. Logan Storley gets the win over Joseph Luciano in a unanimous decision win there in the 170 division. 145, We got Jesus Pinedo versus Adam Borex, and Pinedo gets a TKO win there in the first round. And that brings us to the main event. Jason Jackson with a submission by rear naked choke in the second round over Andrei Koreshkov, which was kind of surprising. A lot of people were high on Koreshkov, thinking he'd definitely get that win there, which he didn't. But Jason Jackson moving on in the tournament, and that wraps it up for that one. And they have yet another card coming up this weekend, happening tomorrow night. Here's your early card. There's a bit of a change happen in the main event. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But we got I'm sorry, I lost my spot here. What the hell? Early card. So that might have been, anyway, let me see what the hell happened here. There's another change, I guess. Maybe that's the other one. Let me look, because I have another picture. I didn't get in there because I just saw it. Yeah, let's see. No, it just says the main event. So I don't know what happened to that Alves versus Njuani, I think, in that bantamweight fight. Oh, that's an alternate. Shit. So that might be why. But anyway, we have Elora Dana. What the fuck is going on here? Hold on. Am I in the yeah, so there's a lot of fights on this that are not on that. Juliana Velasquez is definitely there versus Ekaterina Shakalova. Fucking tough names, man. In the 125 flyweight division for the women, and then you got the bantamweight division for the men. Mateos Matos versus Jake Hadley there. That should be a good fight. Jake Hadley's always fun to watch. Jenna Bishop versus Kana Watanabe in the women's flyweight division there. And then over in the main card. So a lot of this has changed, man. It's tough to keep up because there's been so many last minute. The weigh-ins were today, and that's what happened with the main card. So that main event there has been changed. Leandro Higo is still fighting in the main event, but he's now fighting Marceli Alves. That's what happened. Okay. So Alves moved up to the main event versus Leandro Higo. And then you got Liz Carmouche, former UFC fighter, versus Yara Joanne, I believe that is, in the women's flyweight division. And then you got Francesco Nuzzi versus Mando Gutierrez. Gonna spark you out. Okay. Who the hell's? Okay. And then Kusam Kasumov versus Justin Wetzel. So that's your main card for PFL happening tomorrow night. Friday night card for them, they were on Thursday last week, so we'll see how that goes. Not a whole lot coming out of that fight card last week, except for Thad John was probably the star of that card that night. A lot of finishes though, so I mean, if you're into watching some PFL, you got that going on tomorrow night. BKFC had 2 events last weekend in Dubai. BKFC 71 happened first on, I think that one was on, shit, I don't even remember. That one might have been Friday night, and then they had one Saturday night, I think. Yeah, it was Friday night for this one. Couple decent fights there. Britton Hart beating Ty Emery in the co-main event by unanimous decision. Pretty good battle there. And Britton Hart defends her belt. And then you had Austin Trout defending his belt over Carlos Trinidad Snake in the main event. A lot of decisions at the top of that card. Tello versus Hamasi was a unanimous decision. Dos Santos versus Olenek. Alexei Olenek, former UFC fighter, fighting Dos Santos. Geronimo Dos Santos, that was a TKO win for Dos Santos. And then you had Altamimi versus David Mora. That was a TKO win there for Altamimi. And yeah, it looks like the rest of the card was KO TKOs except for one, Mohammed Ahmed versus Fad Tavardi. That was a split decision win there for Ahmed. And then their second night was another pretty decent fight with the women as the co-main again. And that was Jessica Borga versus Hannah Rankin. And Borga wins the belt there in the women's shit, what division is that? It doesn't even have a women's featherweight division. And then in the main event, you had Kai Stewart versus Tommy Stridham. Kai Stewart defending his title there in the main event. And then you had all finishes except for one decision for which was Hassan Yousefi versus Guto in Innocente. That was the only decision. Everything else was a KO TKO win, which shit, that's a lot of action on that card. 2 decisions total, the main event, and 1 in the prelim. Everything else was a finish. So BKFC always bringing the fight, always bringing the action. So if you're into watching some bare knuckle boxing, it's a fun thing to watch. I can't get into it too much because I kind of forget about it. They don't promote as well as you might think. A lot of times it just pops up on you, so you're just like, the fuck, they have events going on this week? And sometimes I don't even cover it because I don't even realize that there's events going on. So it's tough to keep up with it, but when you catch an event, it's a fun thing to watch on a surprise, especially. But yeah, there's some names in these past ones: Liz Carmouche, Jessica Borga, all kinds of stuff. So Infinity says smaller budget. Yeah, probably. I mean, they have the backing of Conor McGregor. I don't know how much, he's more of like a part owner in it. So he promotes it quite a bit, but I mean, they seem to be having a lot of events, but it's just like it's almost like an underground thing. It feels, that's what it feels like. But you can see it pop up, and when it does, it's fun to watch. Just some bare knuckle boxing. It's a lot different. He's gonna be Popeye. What? Yeah, I mean, I don't think Conor's ever gonna fight again, by the way, now that we're talking about him, because he's talking about trying to be the president of Ireland. Who knows what the hell that's gonna bring. Oh, I heard that was an AI thing, Infinity. Because I heard some other people talking about that, and they were like, that's an AI generated like movie preview. So I'm not sure though. I haven't really seen anything about it, so I don't know. Which that's kind of weird too, right? Not to, if Conor's gonna be the star of a movie, for that not to be like blown out everywhere. Maybe, but he would still have his ass out. Yeah, thinking back to Roadhouse, where we got to see way too much of Conor in the ways we don't want to. We haven't seen enough of him in the fucking octagon though, and that's what he needs to do, is get back to the UFC and fucking fight before he becomes completely irrelevant, which I don't see that happening in the near future, but he's way too relevant for the wrong reasons. But he's very seen and present when it comes to BKFC. He's at all the events. He's out there just doing all the press conferences and the weigh-ins and shit. It's crazy. So he puts a lot of effort into his, investments, I guess, which is good for him. But, he's also got 2 fights left on his UFC contract. So maybe get that out of the way, and then you can go do whatever you want. But it sounds like he can't even get a camp started or put together or go through one. So he needs to clean up his act and get his ass back to fighting in one fashion or another. But as of right now, he's still under contract with the UFC, so that would be what needs to happen. So yeah, that wraps it up for combat sports news and all the events that happened last weekend. As far as outside of the UFC, so let's get to the event that happened last weekend in the UFC. UFC Vegas 105, an Apex card. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. I was thinking this was going to be a banger, and I mean, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a horrible event, but it wasn't like the greatest either. So this is what's killing the UFC right now. it's so many decisions. I mean, we went 1, 2, 3, 4 fights in the prelims before we even got a stoppage. And now, of course, it's MMA. You got to respect the sport and you got to respect the skills. But the thing is in the UFC for so long, it was so dominant to it was so dominantly finishes, you know, submissions, knockouts, TKOs everywhere all the time. So many highlights and stuff coming out from there. And I mean, I haven't even been able to really make content because there hasn't been any spectacular knockouts or any like crazy wars. Nothing. I mean, there's been a few fun fights here and there, but again, like I was saying before, they haven't really had any fight of the night. Like on this card, I'm seeing performance of the night, performance of the night, performance of the night. That's all different, right? Because only one fighter out of the fight gets this bonus, and that's performance of the night will go to the winner, and they just pick people that had good performances. So I'd assume in hopes that, you know, they're gonna get other fighters to be motivated to have a performance of the night or have a fight of the night, but we just haven't seen it in probably like 4 events, I think, pretty much. So it just sucks. I don't know what's going on, but you know, the skills and the ground game is fun too. The ground game is fun to watch, all the scrambles and stuff, and then leading up to a submission, that's fun to watch too. But it just doesn't seem like anybody is getting finishes or you know, just having crazy fun exciting fights. So a lot of strategy, or even not so much strategy, just a lot of stalling. So that's a hindrance right now on the UFC, and a negative obviously, because people want to see those highlight reel knockouts, those crazy exchanges and stuff like that. And while that's not the smartest way to fight always, it still makes it exciting. So it's tough to not have that going on. What did I do here? But anyway, along with that, we'll just go over real quick our winners and losers of this fight night over at the Apex in Vegas. We start off with the women. We had Talita Alencar versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Demopoulos is usually fun to watch fight. I mean, she's pretty energetic and active in a fight, but Alencar came out to win, and she definitely did that. Beat up Demopoulos quite a bit. You know, again, with the women, it's tough sometimes because you don't see a lot of finishes and you get a lot of decisions and a lot of stalling and stuff like that. But there's some action in this fight. Vanessa Demopoulos is the ex-stripper that wrote the stripper Bible and jumps into people's arms when she wins, but she didn't get to do that this time because she lost by unanimous decision to Talita Alencar in the women's strawweight division. That puts Demopoulos down to 11-7 overall. Alencar 6-1 now. Next up was the big boys in the heavyweight division. Martin Buday versus Yuran Satibaldiev. This was a what do you call it? A replacement fight for Buday. He had a replacement for his challenger or his opponent. Yuran Satibaldiev was the last minute sub because Kennedy Nzechukwu got injured and withdrew from the fight. So Buday gets the win though. Yuran was 9-0 coming into this fight, and it seems like a lot of people that are with undefeated records have come into 2025 and had their O taken, and he was a victim of that as well. So Martin Buday putting on a show, getting the win by unanimous decision, and taking that O from Satibaldiev. That's a tough fucking name to say. Back over to the women. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet, because I missed one, and there it is. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. Another unanimous decision win here. Victor Henry getting the win in the men's bantamweight division over Falcao. And yeah, that was not much. I mean, Victor Henry's pretty fun to watch most of the time, but didn't hear a whole lot going on with this fight. So next up is the women that I spoke about before, and that was Luma Lukbunmi versus Estela Nunez. And Luke Boonmi gets the win by unanimous decision as well in the women's strawweight division. Puts her up to 10-3 overall. Nunez drops to 6-6. And then we get to finally a finish for a performance of the night bonus for Rise McKee as he beats Daniel Frunza. TKO by Dr. Stoppage. This one was crazy. We had a nasty cut. As you can see, both these guys got beat up pretty much because it looks like Rise McKee is getting his ass whooped in his picture on top, but it also shows the damage on Frunza's face. As you can see how messed up that right eye is on him. And then you see him getting hit by McKee at the bottom there. And this was a doctor stoppage after the first round due to the damage on Frunza. And we'll see that here. If you're squeamish, look away. I forgot to say that. But holy shit, look at... I mean, you thought his eye was bad. Look at his fucking lip. That is nasty as hell with that split lip. You can see like skin hanging down in that picture on the top from his lip. And then you see the close-up posted by Dana White on his Instagram of the before the stitches. After the stitches, it didn't look that bad, honestly. But that is nasty. I don't know that I've ever seen the inside of somebody's lip like that. If you remember, I think we had Alistair Overeem got that nasty gash on his lip that busted his lip, you know, open and just separated it. It's disgusting. And then you had Robbie Lawler got busted up by the Red Dragon in that fight. I always forget his fucking name too. I don't know why I do this. I have this mental block on fucking, what's his name? I'm not even gonna do this to myself again. Anyway, Robbie Lawler suffered a split lip as well. His lip was just hanging off his face, but man, this one is just nasty. So the doctor had to stop it because of that lip injury. So Rise McKee gets the win in the performance of the night bonus there. And that takes us over to oh, I forgot about Barboza versus... No, I didn't forget about that because that's next. There we go. Dion Barbosa versus Diana Belbita. Two B's at the end there. This one was a pretty fun fight. Belbita came in looking like she was ready to go, but Barbosa just put it on her quickly and gets a first round finish. 4 minutes and 13 seconds in with the arm triangle choke, and Barbosa gets a performance of the night bonus there, winning it on the ground. And then Belbita pretty much retired after this. She technically retired, technically got cut from the UFC. I don't know. I saw a combination of both things. She did say on her Instagram that she was pretty much done, and she spoke about that, I think, beforehand, that she was looking at this possibly being her last fight. So it looks like she's not going to fight anymore. 15-10 overall in the in MMA for Belbita, and it seems like she is now retired. So Dion Barbosa with the performance of the night win by submission over Diana Belbita. Getting into the main card, we had Torres Finney. This was a weird one, man. This one was fucking weird because you look at Torres Finney and he's got a pretty impressive physique, but then you also think, what the fuck? Because he has like zero neck. So he looks like he's got these crazy wide shoulders and he's fucking ripped, but he has like no neck. It's weird. So it looks kind of funky. But anyway, he fought 3 times in the Contender Series because the first time Dana was not impressed. He said it looked like he needed some more fights under his belt. He went out and won 1 or 2, came back, fought a couple more times because Dana just didn't want to give him the contract. Then he finally gets the contract, comes in, makes his UFC debut against Robert Valentin, and is just not impressive. I mean, he got takedowns and he wrestled, but he did nothing with any of it. No passing of the guard, no submission attempts, and he also landed just 4 significant strikes during his first 15 minutes inside the UFC octagon, which is the fewest by any decision winner in middleweight history. So he's making history for one of the worst things you can make history for. 0 knockdowns, 17 of 35 total strikes, 4 significant strikes out of 8 attempted in the entire fucking fight. All 3 rounds, 15 minutes, 4 significant strikes landed, the fewest in the history of the middleweight division. That's insane. And that lead, this is what I'm talking about. And he winds up getting only a split decision, because he basically, this is the most impressive thing you saw out of him, was him picking up Valentin and trying to drop him, trying to throw him and slam him down, but he just couldn't get the leverage over him. Valentin was smart about it, held on to his head because there's no neck to hold on to there. But yeah, he stopped the slam, so he didn't get knocked out, nothing like that. And yeah, so that's Torres Finney's UFC debut. Not sure how many fights he's gonna get if he keeps fighting like that. That is just one of the worst debuts you can find out there. With a stat like that, it sucks. So moving on to Ode Osborne versus Luis Gurul, or Guruli, I think is how you say his name. But Ode Osborne getting a performance of the night bonus here, as he puts on a good performance against Gurul, and he gets a TKO win in the second round for the men's flyweight division. And yeah, like I said, pretty good performance for him there. Nothing too crazy, but he does get the finish, so that's good on him. And that is only the, let's see, that's the 3rd finish. The rest have been decisions at this point, and that's after 8 fights. So we get back to another decision with Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert, GM3. And I was thinking this was going to be a pretty good fight. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I was just waiting to see GM3 do a lot more, especially on the ground. It just didn't seem like he could, get the upper hand on Tavares. Tavares gets the unanimous decision win over GM3 in the middleweight division. Takes Tavares up to 21-10, and GM3 has a record of 37-19. It's a lot of fucking fights. So that's another decision there. And then that brings us over. Well, here's some more of Tavares landing some more shots on GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. Moving on to a pretty fun fight from Chang Ho Lee versus Cortavius Ramius. And Chang Ho Lee gets a win by TKO in the second round, but Leon versus, oh, message retracted. Did you mess up? 305 Chunks throwing in a comment in the chats, but it looked like he maybe messed it up or didn't finish it, so he retracted. We'll see what he says. Leon versus Masvidal. That would be a good fight. We've waited for that fight for fucking years and years now, but I think at this point it's probably good to make that matchup, considering how Leon has fought. But I think if Masvidal comes in looking like Mr. 305 from the past, Leon might be in trouble. The thing is, though, how many times have we seen Masvidal get dropped? How many times have we seen Masvidal, lose fights that maybe he shouldn't have lost? He's kind of up there, and it's kind of that time where you start to wonder how well he can do against upper level opponents. And Leon is a former champ, so even though he hasn't been very impressive in his past few fights, I think he still has some skills, and maybe just needs to, I think he needs a mental coach or something like that, because I feel like he gets in his head and he just gives up. So Leon versus Masvidal would be interesting for sure. We've waited for that fight for a long time after that altercation in the backstage area when Masvidal was doing an interview after a win, and Leon's just talking shit in the side. Masvidal walks up with his hands behind his back, gets close, and then just fucking wails on Leon. Lands a 3-piece and a soda. So I mean, it'd be nice to see that get resolved in the cage finally, but what kind of a fight would it be now after years of, that happened before Leon was the champ. That happened before we even thought Leon could be the champ. And now that Masvidal's gone down the path that he's gone down, And Leon losing the title and then getting to where he is now, I mean, what kind of fight would we have? Would that be the fight that Leon finally turns it around? That could be a good thing for Leon. If Masvidal isn't back up to snuff where he was before, I mean, he's not gonna 4-second fucking flying knee knockout like he did against Ben Askren. I don't think he could do that to Leon. But Leon, what's he gonna do? Just stall? We've seen Masvidal engage in that stall before, you know, and not do anything to put the pressure on. So that could potentially be a boring ass fight. But I like it. I'd see it. I'd watch it if it came up. But is that something? I mean, I heard Masvidal was trying to come back to the UFC. Don't know if he's gonna make it back there or not. Haven't heard much about it recently. So it's an interesting fight to see after years of waiting. But is it worth it now? I don't know. So that's the question. But yeah, thanks for the interaction, 305 Chunks. Appreciate you. Good question there. That's a good one to think about. So back to this, we had Chang Ho Lee getting the win over Cratavius Ramius it was a catch weight at 139. Chang Ho Lee though gets that TKO win, and then at the end talks about how he's the next, or he wants to be known as like the Japanese Khabib, which is funny. Thank you for streaming, brothers. Subscribe. Oh shit. Hey, appreciate you. Thanks, 305 Chunks. Always appreciate everybody that jumps in, interacts, and then subscribe. Appreciate that. But yeah, Chang Ho Lee wanting to be the Japanese Khabib, which is funny. He did some work on the ground though, and he got that win. So punches from out, TKO. Got to give it to the dominance on the ground. So that's that for Lee. Here's one more picture of some more ground and pound there as he's dominating from the top and getting the win there. That brings us over to some more groundwork done by Pat Sabatini. He was pretty dominant on the ground, but it wasn't the most exciting fight. You know, it's just a lot of wrestling and a lot of ground control from Sabatini. But he does, you know, land some punches there on the ground with some ground and pound. So at least he's doing more than Therese Finney did. So that's a plus. And Pat Sabatini keeps that Philly movement going with the win over Joanderson Brito. Brito's good on the ground too with that jiu-jitsu. So I'm surprised that he was so dominated on the ground by Sabatini, but Sabatini just being a savage down there. Unanimous decision win for him in the men's featherweight division. That takes him up to 20-5 for Sabatini, and then Brito drops to 17-5. I'm sorry, Sabatini's 20-5. And then that brings us to the main event: Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. Man, I was hoping for some fireworks. I was hoping for some action in this one, and while we did get some action, it wound up being a unanimous decision win for Lerone Murphy. Some people talked about how maybe Emmett got robbed a little bit, but I don't know about that. I mean, Murphy looked pretty impressive. He looked sharp. Emmett looked like he was off a little bit. Murphy started doing those crazy oblique kicks, I think they call them, but kicks to the knee, as you can see in that lower picture there against Emmett. Those always are tough, man. It's like a lot of people hate those kicks, thinking that they're illegal and they shouldn't be allowed. Because, you know, I've seen a couple guys get their knee kicked backwards, and that's some nasty damage to happen to your knee from those kind of kicks. A lot of force coming forward and bending your knee in the wrong direction, bending your entire leg the wrong direction. So it's a tough one, but Lerone Murphy was landing them and was pretty impressive with his striking. Good kicks to the body, mixing it all up, and he gets a unanimous decision win over Josh Emmett, who's had some pretty impressive knockouts in the past, including over Bryce Mitchell, who's fighting this weekend. He had that crazy knockout where Mitchell didn't get up for a while, was convulsing on the ground. So, you know, Emmett has that crazy power that you got to be aware of, got to be ready for. And Lerone Murphy was able to not let him, you know, get off on those big crazy strikes, and winds up getting the unanimous decision win. And that wraps it up for UFC Vegas 105. And that brings us to what I'm excited for: UFC 314 in Miami. Let's get it going. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. As soon as this fight starts, it is considered the men's featherweight vacant title is what they're fighting for, because Topuria is the current champ, but he basically vacated, and that comes into effect the second this fight starts. And we still haven't heard any news on Topuria. What's happening with him? What's he doing? Why did he vacate? Everyone says he's supposed to be fighting Islam Makhachev, but we haven't heard anything. There's been no news. We've seen Topuria saying, "Wait till you see, you'll be surprised." Lim, like, gonna take it again? Huh? What are you saying, Infinity? Lim gonna get taken again. Oh, I see. I think that's what you're saying. Okay, but yeah, oh, Pimblett. Okay, got you. But yeah, so I mean, we haven't heard from Topuria. What the fuck's happening? What's he gonna do? It doesn't sound like Makhachev is. It almost sounded like Makhachev was gonna go up and wait as well. But everyone's waiting for that announcement. Is it going to be Makhachev versus Topuria? Why the fuck else would Topuria vacate his title? He said he's having trouble with. Heard Islam is moving up, bro. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Christian Flores, what's up, man? Welcome back. You gotta let me know what your bets are for this weekend, because I might have to bet with you, because you seem to have a good track on betting right now, winning some money. So let me know what you got going on. But yeah, I mean, Islam, yeah, there's that possibility of him moving up as well. So is he gonna move up, vacate his title, and then we're gonna get a fight with Ilia Topuria and whoever the number one contender is for that lightweight title? Maybe that's a thing as well. I didn't really even think of that. But I mean, the biggest fight to make is Topuria versus Makhachev. Like, let's get that fight done, and then Makhachev, if you beat Topuria, then move up. You got a good fight there, though. That's a good one that I think people would be excited for. That's what everybody's waiting for to get announced. So let's get it done. Don't move up until you fight that fight. That's what I think. That's my opinion. But who the fuck am I? Anyway, in the co-main event of this one, we got Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. And yeah, there's some good chatter going on about this fight, back and forth between Chandler and Pimblett as well. Chandler showing his fists a lot, talking about he's ready to fucking knock somebody out. But we know he has good wrestling, and he'd be smart to use that wrestling against Paddy Pimblett. Pimblett's pretty good all the way around. We've seen him with some decent power on the feet, some good striking, but he's also got a lot of skills on the ground. So if Chandler does take him down, he's got to be careful for that ground game and be careful for those submissions. We'll get to a little more in depth on that fight here in a bit, but let's take a look at the prelims. Starting off at the bottom with Nora Cornell versus Haley Cohen in the women's bantamweight division. Cornell. Christian Flores says, got to get in the lab tomorrow night to cook for this weekend. But I got Chase Hooper, Silva money line, Yair money line, and Lopez money line. Okay. Fuck, man. Lopez money line. Yeah, I got some shit to say about that one. I'm a little worried for Volk, but at the same time, I like Lopez too, so I'm a little worried about that, because if Volk comes out re-energized and recharged after over a year off, I know you got Lopez being the younger guy, the up-and-comer, but what kind of fights has he fought before? He hasn't had the biggest opposition, so you got to think about that. Yair versus Pitbull, though, I think that's a good pick. Because I think Yair is hungry and Pitbull is coming in. He might have some of those, octagon jitters. Even though he's fought a lot before in other organizations, it's a little bit different. The lights are a little brighter under that UFC banner. So I don't know. Silva, though, I think you're good there. Bryce Mitchell's very good on the ground, but I think Silva's on another fucking level. He's a savage of a different sort. Who has more charisma, Paddy or Chandler? That's a good question, Chunks. I don't know, because Paddy's like super lovable. Everybody is just enamored with him because of various reasons. But at the same time, Chandler has that WWE type shit, right? He's got the gift of the mouthpiece. Basically, he can talk, even though some of it's a little corny, a little cringe, but He makes it work and he gets people pumped up. So charisma between those two, I call it a bit even. Christian said Volk's chin not the same. Lopez goes hard first round. If it goes the distance, then Volk can win. I appreciate that take 100%. My only thing with Volk, my question is his chin actually gone, or did he just get caught by two fucking killers? And I know Lopez goes hard in the first round, and I know he's a killer too, but it's not the same level that Volk is with Makhachev and with Topuria. Those are two different kind of fucking guys. I feel like Lopez is getting fast-tracked a little bit, and sometimes that could be to a detriment. But at the same time, this could be his jump off right here. You know, obviously he's getting to the highest level and getting a championship right off the bat after not having the biggest opponents in his past. So this is a good one, man. This is why I'm excited for this, and I'm happy to break it down a little more when I get to that fight for sure. But yeah, I appreciate that, guys, because I mean, it gets my mind going, and it definitely gets me even more pumped up, because those are two of the biggest fights right now, and I'm hyped. I'm hyped, and I'm ready for those fights. So let's go over the rest of this prelim card here. We got Tracion Gore versus Marco Tulia in the men's middleweight division. Tracion Gore's pretty fun to watch fight, man. So, but it looks like Tulio's ready to go. 6-2 for Gore, 13-1 for Tulio. Should be a good one there. Sumadarji versus Mitch Raposo in the men's flyweight division. 16-7 for Sumadarji. Raposo is 9-2. And then we get to Cedric Dumas versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I feel like this should be a pretty fun fight. Dumas is 10-2, Oleksiejczuk 19-9 in the middleweight division. The other half of the prelims. A lot of prelims here, but a lot of pretty good fights, man. I mean, look at that for that beginning there. Tracion Gore, Sumadarji, Cedric Dumas. I mean, those are some good fights there. And then we get to what's gonna be a fucking banger. You right about that, but I don't know. We shall see, bro. Might make two parlays with different endings. Did he? Oh shit. No, that's a good point though. I mean, you gotta hedge your bet sometimes, especially with a fight like this. I feel like this is exactly the reason. This is exactly the type of fight that you need to hedge on, because it could go either way. No Diddy on that too. But dude, this fight is gonna be a fucking banger. Darren Elkins, The Damage versus Julian Erosa. Two motherfuckers that come out banging. Again, no Diddy. But this is the men's flyweight division. But holy shit, they call him The Damage for a reason. Darren Elkins comes out and throws everything at everyone, as well as absorbs every fucking strike that anyone has to throw at him. He gets damage no matter what happens. He's got so much fucking like, what do you call it, fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. He's got so much just scar tissue in his face that when he gets hit, he just gets busted open right away. That's why he has that goofy tat on his chest that says The Damage in the most horrible fucking font, but it's hilarious, and he fucking lives up to the name because he is The Damage. He gets damaged to shit, but he stays in there, stays in the pocket and throws, and fucking Erosa's there for a war as well. So look at the fucking record on these guys. 29-11 for Darren Elkins, 30-12 for Erosa. That's a lot of fucking fights. You know, these boys are going in there ready to go. So that should be a really fun fucking fight in the men's featherweight division. Shit, yeah, that's a good one, man. I'm excited to watch that fight. Then you got the vet, Jim Miller, been around for every milestone in the UFC 100, 200, 300, fought in all of them, still fucking fighting. And now he's fighting the youngster. So Jim Miller is, let me see his age real quick. Jim Miller is 41 years old with a record of 38-18. It's fucking insane. And then he's fighting Chase Hooper, who is 25 years old, 15-3 overall. Both these guys are fun to watch fight. I mean, Miller gets into wars as well. He's always he's always ready to stand in there and trade with somebody. Chase Hooper has gotten better with his striking, a lot better with his striking recently, but he has a damn good ground game as well. But I think Jim Miller just knows how to defend everything and is a fun guy to watch fight. He's a vet. He's been around forever. Chase Hooper, though, has kind of been on a Legends tour, beating all these older guys. He beat the animal fucking, what the fuck? Why do I keep forgetting people's names? Clay Guida. He lost to Aljamain Sterling in grappling, but Borshev, he beat Borshev by Darce choke as well. So he's on a fucking 5-fight win streak. He beat Clay Guida in a grappling match as well. But yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak. Yeah, he's one of those guys, man. He's looking to get some younger opponents. Hopefully after this fight, if he gets the win here. This is in the men's lightweight division. I feel like this should be a pretty fun fight as well. And then we move to the women in the strawweight division, and this looks like it could be a contender fight for sure. We got Virna Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. Yan Xiaonan is 19-4 overall, 21-3 for Virna Jandiroba. I mean, we know that picture, man, of Jandiroba is tough. But she's a damn good fighter. 21-3, like I said. She is on a 4-fight win streak as well, with wins over Angela Hill, Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Lupita Godinez, and Amanda Lemos. Those are a lot of big names to get wins over. So she's got a 4-fight win streak going on with that. Yan Xiaonan fought for the title against Weili Zhang, where she basically got choked out, saved by the bell, and then woke up, didn't know where the fuck she was, but still came back and fought a pretty good fight to get to the all 5 rounds. And she did lose against Weili Zhang, obviously. After that, though, she came back and beat the tough Tabitha Ricci, hot Tabitha Ricci, I should say as well. But she's also got wins over Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern, another hot one there. So yeah, she's got some good wins under her belt, and this is definitely a contender fight here. And that should be a fun one to watch. I mean, the women, a lot of decisions, a lot of times, but with these two girls, they're higher levels, so we'll see what kind of fight we get out of that. And then to round off the prelims, another banger of a fight I feel like it's gonna be Dan 50K Ige, 50K, because he gets a lot of bonuses for his performance in the men's featherweight division versus Sean Woodson, who is a killer as well. 13-1 for Woodson, 18-9 for Dan Ige. We got Ige, I believe, coming off, yeah, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but that's to Diego Lopez, and that performance, that great performance that Lerone Murphy just put on last week, that was Dan Ige's last loss. The Diego Lopez one, he came in on a 4-hour notice to fight Diego Lopez at UFC 303 back in June of last year. I mean, you're talking like that's a hell of a short notice fight. Came in, put up a good fight against Lopez, actually. And that's one of the reasons why I'm wondering about Lopez against Volk. We'll see. I think it depends on what Volk does. But anyway, also lost to Lerone Murphy. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak, looking to get back in that win column versus Sean Woodson, who's always a tough opponent. He doesn't look like much when you look at him, but the dude can fight 100%. 7-1 in the UFC. He came from the Contender Series. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-fight win streak with a draw in between there as well. Has wins over Yusuf Zalal, Dennis Bazooka, Charles Jourdain, Alex Caceres, and Fernando Padilla. So pretty good names there for him as well. And that's why I say that I feel like this should be a damn good fight here between Dan Ige and Sean Woodson. So with these fucking prelims, man, I'm hyped already about those. And that's why I feel like this is going to be a great card. And it sucks I can't be in here in the studio watching live with my boys. But I'm still going to have a good time where I'm going to be having some good drinks and watching the fight still in the background. Because the fucking service better be good out there, because I want to watch these goddamn fights. Because all these fucking prelims are good. I feel like there might be a couple in there that'll be a little lackluster, but for the most part, I think we're going to see a lot of good action in the prelims. Let's get to these main card fights and wrap this one up, starting with Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes to start off the main card. Let me get back to where I'm at here. This is in the men's lightweight division. If you remember, Dominic Reyes, one of the guys that is credited with basically beating John Jones. I mean, a lot of people thought, wait, you're not gonna watch UFC? Yeah, no, remember, Christian, I'm doing white people shit. This is that weekend I'm doing that. I'm definitely gonna watch this shit, but I'm gonna be watching on my phone, which luckily I have a phone that opens up to a nice fucking big screen. So yeah, so me and Josh are gonna be doing white people shit this weekend. He's already there too, but yeah, I'm gonna be watching for sure. There's no way I can't. Whether anybody gets mad at me or not, I'm gonna have to watch. I'm just not gonna be here doing the watch party. That's what I'm sad about, because this is a banger of a fucking card, and I feel like I should be here doing the watch party. Unfortunately, I paid a lot of money to go to this fucking thing, and I'm gonna hang out with my friends, so that's cool. So it'll be fun. But yeah, I'll be watching, don't worry. But we got Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Like I said, Dominic Reyes, a lot of people thought he beat John Jones in that title fight. John looked not great in that fight, and Dominic Reyes did some work. But after that, he got in his head a little bit, and he just kind of went downhill. Had a few bad fights, went on a losing streak, 4-fight losing streak at that, by the way. So that's tough. Actually, with John Jones, it was a 4-fight losing streak, but after John, it was 3 fights. But look at who he lost to. Ryan Spann was the least opponent that he fought. Okay, but that's still a decent name. But he also fought Yuri Prohaska and lost by spinning elbow. And then he fought Jan Blachowicz and he got a TKO loss there as well. So I mean, against John Jones, it was a unanimous decision win for John, but that was a damn close fight. It should have been more like a split decision, going in the way of Reyes. But yeah, he fought Blachowicz, Prohaska, and Ryan Spann. I mean, those are tough opponents. And then but right now he's on a 2-fight win streak because he turned it around. He recently got married. I think he's got some motivation under him. So he's got 2 wins in a row. Dustin Jacoby was a finish for him. Two finishes, by the way. TKOs. Dustin Jacoby, he won in round 1. Anthony Smith, he won by ground and pound in round 2. That was in December of last year. And then Jacoby was last year as well in June. So 2-fight win streak for Dominic Reyes there. He's a 14-4 overall, 8-4 in the UFC, 9-3 by KO TKO, 2-0 by sub, 3-1 by decision. Nikita Krylov is 30-9 overall, 11-7 in the UFC, 12-1 by KO TKO, 16-6 by sub, and 2-2 by decision. He's on a 3-fight win streak. So both these guys are on win streaks. Which one's going to get their loss and get that win streak snapped? I guess we'll have to see. But Krylov is always down to brawl and throw. And I feel like it's going to be a good fight because Reyes looks pumped up. He looks ready. In the press conference earlier today, I mean, he was pretty short about what he said, but he basically said, let's fucking go. And he looked pumped. So hopefully we're going to get a good one out of this. And yeah, let's take a look at Nikita Krylov, and his win streak is 3 wins over Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Ozdemir, and Ryan Spann. So both these guys fought Ryan Spann in their last fight, and both of them got wins over Ryan Spann. As you can see there, Dominic Reyes getting that big punch on John Jones back when he fought him, and then Krylov with the big head kick over Ozdemir. That was a unanimous decision win over Ozdemir. Gustafsson, he finished, and Ryan Spann, he finished. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, but those were to Magomed Ankalaev and Paul Craig. So he's got wins over Johnny Walker, Oven St. Preux, Fabio Maldonado, Emmanuel Newton. I mean, he's got a lot of big wins on his record overall. So I feel like this should be a good fight. To start off the main card, UFC 314, let's move over to the next one. Another one that I'm fucking excited about. Again, this main card is fucking good. It's a good main card on paper, at least. But we got Bryce Mitchell versus Jean Silva. And if you remember, Bryce Flat Earth Mitchell talking about the demons. I can't sleep because I'm fighting a demon, and those demons are keeping me up at night. I just can't get no sleep. that was Bryce Mitchell. He's like, I don't know, I just keep dreaming about the flat earth, and then I got this demon. His name's Jean Silva, and I can't shake him. I'm sorry. Bryce Mitchell has been so cringe lately. I don't know what his fucking deal is, but you know, talking about on his podcast, talking about the fact that he wants to go fishing with Adolf Hitler. Oh my god, man, what the fuck? Bryce a cornball. Exactly, Christian. Except, bro, he put some bass in his voice when John Silva was barking at him, holding up the globe at the press conference when they did that conference back a while ago, and Sean Silva's like, "Roof, roof, roof," and Bryce Mitchell's like, "You barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker." Shit was so funny, dude. I couldn't stop laughing. I played that clip like so many times over and over again. Bryce Mitchell was, again, in the press conference today, he's wide-eyed. I swear he looks like he's methed out. I mean, he doesn't look bad, but his eyes are like just so fucking big, and he's just like, he's got these like blue eyes that are piercing, and he just sitting there. I don't know, it looks like he's holding back quite a bit, like he wants to fucking pull some racist shit out, but he can't. And John Silva just started trying to get everybody to bark, and I don't know what he's got with this barking thing, but it was funny. It was funny, and I can't help but laugh at Bryce Mitchell. But the motherfucker's talented, I'll tell you that. My favorite moment was Volk singing. yeah, Volk is a funny motherfucker, man. I saw an entire skit on TikTok of him fucking like doing all kinds of singing in the studio, like acting like he's a rock and roll guy from the hair metal band and all kinds of other shit. Hilarious. But Bryce Mitchell, 17-3 overall, 8-2 in the UFC, 1-1 by KO TKO. That nasty KO by Josh Emmett that put Bryce Mitchell's lights out for minutes. Thoughts on Dana not being at the press conference? It's kind of normal these days, honestly. It's not that surprising. He's always got some other shit going on. It seems like he's separating himself a little bit from everything with the UFC, and I don't think he's doing it in a big way. I think he's just subtly separating himself a little bit because, you know, they got this TKO boxing shit going on, and I think that he wants to, you know, be more of the face of that too. So you're gonna see a lot more of him kind of just separating himself a little bit. We've seen it a bit in the past too. Like he'll take a hiatus from being at all the press conferences and all the weigh-ins and shit. So I mean, I'm not that surprised. But yeah, I kind of didn't even realize he wasn't there, honestly. I noticed that John Anik was hosting basically. Christian said, "Yup, bro is too damn busy. He probably will be there in Miami though." Yeah, I don't doubt that, but it's weird because he has missed a couple of events recently. What's up, Magix? DJ Magix in the chat. Appreciate you for coming and checking it out. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell, 9-1 by sub, 7-0 by decision. Oh shit, he's never lost a fight by decision. I didn't even realize that. He is coming off a win though, so his last fight was not that nasty KO from Josh Emmett, so that's good for him because he's already come back and got a big win. Christian said he know one event he will always be in. Yeah, John Jones, that's the greatest fighter of all time. Of course he's gonna be there. But yeah, that win Bryce Mitchell had over Kron Gracie. I mean, Kron Gracie, man, like that dude was butt scooting the whole fucking fight, trying to pull guard and basically just trying to be a jiu-jitsu player. So it's tough to say that was a great win for Bryce Mitchell, but for the confidence, that was probably good for him because he did come in and spark fucking Kron Gracie and knocked him out cold with those elbows on the ground. It was impressive. So I do got to give him props for that one. So he does have some striking, but I mean, can he get to that position? I don't know. With somebody like Jean Silva, who's so fucking talented and dominant in the striking. I mean, Jean Silva, 15-2 overall, 4-0 in the UFC, 12-0 in KO TKOs, 2-0 by sub, 1-2 by decision. And he's on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC, obviously, because he's undefeated in here. Here's the problem. Undefeated fighters in the UFC, whether it's an undefeated record overall or an undefeated record in the UFC, it hasn't fared well for fighters. I mean, on average, they're losing if they have an O next to their name for a UFC record. So it's tough. But look at 12 fucking KO TKOs for Jean Silva. Only one for Bryce Mitchell, and he has that one nasty KO suffered by Josh Emmett. And then if you look at the subs, I mean, it's like 2-0 for Jean Silva. You're thinking, okay, he's obviously a striker, but he's low-key a great fucking jiu-jitsu player as well. So you got to be careful with that. He is a black belt. He's part of the Fighting Nerds. Those fools can do everything. So that's something you got to definitely pay attention to. That's something that, yeah, that's probably why Christian is betting on him. And also everyone's kind of downing on Bryce Mitchell right now. I think he's a bit too much in his head, too much in his feelings. And I think he's got too much animosity right now against Jean Silva. And Jean Silva's having fun, having a good time talking shit to Bryce Mitchell. And I think that he's going to go in there ready to have more fun by piecing up Bryce Mitchell. And if it gets to the ground, I think he's at a similar level as Bryce Mitchell, even though Bryce Mitchell has one of the only twister submissions in the UFC ever. He's like one of 3 people to ever do it in the UFC, but he hasn't done anything like that in a while. So, but yeah, it's also the Jean Silva demons that are keeping up Bryce Mitchell at night. I can't sleep. This motherfucker's in my dreams. He's haunting me. He's the devil. Sorry, Bryce Mitchell is just I can't help it. But yeah, Jean Silva's just showing us nothing but on his feet, and he's been knocking fools out, and he shows mercy on his opponents too. As he did here against who was his last win. I think Bryce Mitchell has probably fought more high-level opponents, but Bogdasarian, he dropped him and looked at the ref like, what the fuck, man? I guess I keep going. So then he started he threw one punch to the head and then started elbowing to the body because he's like, dude, this dude's done. And then the ref called it. So but his four fight winning streak in the UFC is against Melsik Bogdasarian, who you see in that lower picture, Drew Dober, who he finished, Charles Jourdain, who he finished, and Weston Wilson, who he finished. All 4 fights in the UFC, no losses, and all 4 fights are finishes. So let's see, round 1, round 3, round 2, round 1. So a little bit of everything. Performance of the or fight of the night against Drew Dober, and performance of the night against Bogdasarian for Jean Silva. Pardon the Fighting Nerds. I feel like this is going to be a great fight. If it gets to the ground, it's definitely going to be technical, and it's definitely going to be entertaining. But I feel like if Bryce Mitchell makes a mistake early on, Jean Silva is going to catch him, put him out, put him to sleep, and we'll see if that chin holds up, especially after getting rocked like he did against Josh Emmett. Because Bryce Mitchell has only fought a grappler, wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy. That's the only other guy he's fought since Josh Emmett, so he didn't really get tested with that chin. So we'll see what Jean Silva has to give him this time. So let's move on. Obviously, I had a lot to say about that one. Let's move on to Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull making his UFC debut finally after fucking years of people wanting to see him in the UFC. We finally get a fight, and he steps in against the taller, more lanky Yair Rodriguez, who has some sneaky good skills. Rodriguez is 20-5 overall, 10-4 in the UFC, 8-3 by KO TKO, 5-1 by sub, 6-1 by decision. He is on a 2-fight losing streak though, but Pitbull's 36-7 overall. He's 5 years older than Yair. He's been around for a long fucking time. Was a superstar in Bellator, 2-division champion. That's why you see him holding that belt there. Obviously he's making his UFC debut, so the pictures haven't really been haven't really been updated yet. But yeah, he's making his UFC debut. 12-2 overall in KO TKOs, 12-1 by sub, 12-4 by decision. His last fight was a win. So yeah, he's got 12s in every fucking category there. So I mean, a lot of wins, a lot of different ways. I mean, he could do it all. But is he too old? Or is he gonna get some octagon jitters because those UFC lights are a little brighter? And you get into that octagon, you hear the crowd. I mean, he's no stranger to any of that, but it's a little different in the UFC. Could be good, could be bad. We always have to wait and see how they react to their first fight in the UFC. So let's see what these two have to give. As you can see, Yair up top, you know, putting it on Max Holloway. Pitbull at the bottom, blooding up his opponent. Pitbull gets a lot of damage though too, but so does Yair. So Yair's last two fights were losses. One against Brian Ortega. That was a submission loss for him there. And that's a tough fight against Ortega. And before that was a title fight. He lost the interim belt to Alexander Volkanovski. Before that, he won against Josh Emmett. And then he beat Brian Ortega as well. But that was a shoulder injury win. So that loss that he had to Ortega was a rematch. And then he also lost to Holloway, even though you see him catching him in this picture up top. So Pitbull has fought. His last win was against Jeremy Kennedy, which he had. That was a title defense for him back in Bellator before it went away. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak to Shichiro Suzuki and Sergio Pettis. But I mean, he had some wars with Michael Chandler back in the day where he beat Chandler a couple times actually. And Juan Archuleta. So yeah, I mean, he's had some big fights. As you can see by his record, he can do it all. But he is older, and I wonder. Gotta bounce. We'll hit you tomorrow. Okay, take it easy, Infinity. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you. So yeah, Yair versus Pitbull. Pitbull's UFC debut. And a lot of people have been waiting for this one, so we'll see what happens here. I think Yair's hungry to get back in that win column, and Pitbull's anxious to get into the UFC octagon and prove his worth and prove that he's not too old and that he's ready to make a splash in the UFC. So he's finally here. We'll see what he does with it. Let's get to the co-main. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. A lot of people are excited for this one. I mean, it's not like the craziest matchup. I mean, there's an 8-year difference in age here. Michael Chandler being the vet, being the older guy. Obviously didn't fight for a couple years, waiting for that Conor McGregor fight after the Ultimate Fighter, but finally he, got back in there, and he's fought a couple times. So, well, he's fought once at least. This will be a second fight since being on that 2-year hiatus. And he's fighting Paddy Pimblett, who hasn't had nearly the strength of schedule that Michael Chandler has had, because Michael Chandler has fought all kinds of fucking former champions since getting into the UFC. But similar records here. We got 23-9 for Michael Chandler, 22-3 for Paddy Pimblett, 2-4 UFC record for Michael Chandler. But like I said, the strength of schedule is crazy. Fighting all kinds of ex-champs and everything. And then Paddy Pimblett is 6-0. But there's that O again, that undefeated record in the UFC. And you got to be careful with that this year, because a lot of those O's are going away. And I know I keep saying it, but it's the truth. 11-4 by KO TKO for Chandler, 7-1 by sub, and 5-4 by decision. He is on a 2-fight losing streak. And then you got Paddy Pimblett, 6-0 in the UFC, 5-0 by KO TKO, 11-1 by sub, 6-2 by decision. Basically, he's got the upper hand on everything except for the KO TKO column, where he's never been KO'd or TKO'd, and Michael Chandler has 11 under his belt. And he's talking about how he's ready to go in there and knock out Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy just keeps talking about how, you can't knock out a Scouser. So we'll see if Michael Chandler can get it done. Let's take a look at Chandler. Some of his wrestling skills, as you know. Chandler's really good with the wrestling and grappling, but he likes to stand and bang, and that's to his detriment sometimes, because he gets into these wars and he could be mitigating some of that damage by wrestling and grappling, and he tends to not do it. But his last fight was against Charles Oliveira, where they got the fight of the night, but he lost by unanimous decision. Before that was a loss to Dustin Poirier, as you can see in both these pictures, even though he got these impressive takedowns and throws. But he did lose by rear naked choke to Dustin Poirier in round 3. That was another fight of the night. He got a win against Tony Ferguson, as you can see here, with this nasty fucking head kick in that lower picture. That was a performance of the night bonus for him for that front head kick. Holy shit, that was insane. I mean, I know it's against Tony Ferguson, who was on his way out anyway, but Jesus Christ, that was a fucking crazy kick to the face. It's just out cold for Tony Ferguson, face first on the mat. And then he lost to Justin Gaethje, lost to Oliveira a second time. But look at all of these are, let's see, fight of the night, both losses. Performance of the night for the win against Ferguson. Fight of the night for the loss against Justin Gaethje. He lost to Charles Oliveira. And then this other picture on top, you see performance of the night against Dan Hooker, where he won with this ground and pound. As you see in that picture there, he beat Benson Henderson in his last Bellator fight. So coming into the UFC, gets that win over Dan Hooker. I mean, Chandler's impressive, but I think he needs to mix up his wrestling and his striking a little more. He's good at both, but that performance against Oliveira in that last fight, he was more just showboating than anything, showing that he couldn't be finished, but he still lost, and he's got a 2-4 record in the UFC. And now he's fighting Paddy Pimblett, who doesn't have the strength of schedule that he did, but still has a lot of skills. He's undefeated for a reason. He had that questionable win over Charles Jourdain that a lot of people said was Jared Gordon. Why did I say Charles Jourdain? I meant Jared Gordon, where he got the unanimous decision win, and people were just disgusted by that. But his last fight was against King Green, where he got that nasty triangle choke win in the first round. That was a performance of the night bonus for him. He also beat Tony Ferguson by unanimous decision. So he was dominant, but he wasn't able to finish him like Michael Chandler did. And then there was that lackluster performance against Jared Gordon. You see in that top picture a win over Jordan Levitt, where he got the performance of the night bonus there. Also got a rear naked choke win over Rodrigo Vargas, performance of the night bonus there. And then his first fight was against Luigi Vanderamini, and that was a TKO win with a performance of the night bonus there. So only 2 of his fights he has not won a bonus. So that's pretty impressive, and hopefully he brings a lot of that action and a lot of that kind of motivation to this fight here against Michael Chandler. Let's get to the main event, and then we'll see what the fight wheel has predictions, and we'll get the hell out of here. Oh shit, I missed the submissions by Paddy. But King Green there and Jordan Levitt at the top. So there's the submission wins for Paddy Pimblett as well. And here's your main event for the vacant featherweight title. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Volk trying to get his title back after not having it for a few years. Finally getting back in there, hoping to get the title back. Diego Lopez stepping in and hoping to get an early championship win for himself. 30 years old for Lopez, 36 for Volkanovski. He's going to be 37 here soon. Look at these records. Pretty similar, though. 26-4 for Volk, 26-6 for Lopez. 13-3 overall, or in the UFC for Volk. 13-3 by KO, TKO, 3-0 by sub. 10-1 by decision, and he's on a 2-fight losing streak, unfortunately. And then you got Lopez, who's 5-1 in the UFC, 10-2 by KO, TKO, 12-0 by sub. That's a fucking impressive number right there. 4-4 by decision. He's on a 5-fight win streak. As you can see in these stats here, I mean, KO, TKOs, obviously Volk has more. Similar in the losing. They're only a couple off on both wins and losses. Neither one of them have been subbed, even though Volk got stuck in a deep fucking rear naked choke by Brian Ortega, who is a hell of a submission artist and a jiu-jitsu guy, but he did not tap. He willed his way through that shit, and it was pretty impressive. That vein was popping out of his head, but he got out and he wound up winning. So still to this day has not been submitted, but he's got a good record by decision. Only one loss there, 10 wins by decision. Lopez 4-4 in decision, so I mean that's not bad, but 12-0 by submission, that's crazy. A lot of submissions there, but Volk has never been submitted, and we've seen him get out of deep submissions, so if it gets to the ground, it could be fucking interesting for sure. On the feet, they're pretty similar as well, so I feel like this should be a good fight. I mean, the biggest discrepancy here is the age and the previous fights, the recent fights where Volk is on a losing streak and Lopez is on a win streak. So this is what we have to deal with here. I mean, Volk has lost to Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, though. Those are his last two his last two fights and his last two losses. So it's not like he's losing to scrubs, right? Yeah, he's lost to Makhachev twice, but the last one was a short notice fight that he went up in weight and fucking, and he lost, unfortunately. But he got KO'd pretty bad. And then you got the fight against Ilia Topuria where he lost his title and he got knocked out pretty bad by Ilia as well. But those are two high level fucking strikers with a lot of power, one being in a higher weight class and a bigger guy. So, and then Topuria is moving up weight classes. This is why Volk is fighting for the title again. So again, another bigger guy with a lot of power. And yeah, they might have been in the same weight class, but Topuria still had the heavier hands. He's still the bigger guy, and Volk had come off like 4 months off of that other the other KO loss. Maybe it was 4 or 5 months, something like that. That's not a long enough break. So I feel like he needed to take a longer break. I feel like that had a lot to do with getting that second loss. But the problem is you take 2 big KOs in a row like that, and your chin could go. It could be gone. But he hasn't done much since then. That was in February of 2024. So it's been over a year that he took time off, which was good for him. He needed that, and hopefully it does him well. So we'll see how he comes back, if he bounces back in a good way. I feel like no matter what, we're going to get a good fight out of Volk, unless for some weird, strange reason he comes out crazy and Lopez catches him. But I don't know. I feel like that's not probable. So I feel this is going to be a good fight. I'm thinking that Volk is going to come out very, very hungry, ready to get his title back and make another run with defenses and close up his career on top. That's what he's going to be looking for. And I feel like with the wins that he's gotten over other opponents and the way that he's beaten people, I think he has a great chance of getting the belt back here. But he's fighting a tough opponent in Diego Lopez, who unfortunately doesn't have the same strength of schedule, but he's talented as fuck. He's been pretty impressive. He is on a 5-fight win streak. He lost his UFC debut over to Movsar Evloev by unanimous decision, but since then he's been on a tear. He had a submission win over Gavin Tucker, a TKO win over Pat Sabatini, a TKO win over Sadiq Youssef, unanimous decision win over Dan Ige in that hard-fought battle there, and then a unanimous decision win over Brian Ortega where he beat the hell out of Brian. So I mean, both these guys have beat Brian Ortega, but Lopez is talented. He's younger. He comes out quick, as Christian said earlier. He comes out ready to go. So I think in the first couple rounds, Lopez is going to be pretty dangerous, and if Volk plays it right and is strategic and has that good fight IQ that we know he has, it doesn't get caught like he did against Makhachev and Topuria, then I think if he survives the first couple rounds, he has a good chance of taking Lopez into deep waters and either winning by decision or tiring out Lopez, taking him into those deep waters and showing him something he hasn't seen before, coming from a vet like Volkanovski. So I feel like this should be a damn good fight and a big chance for Diego Lopez to make some waves in this division and in the UFC and make himself a bigger star against somebody like Volkanovski. Whether he's been knocked out the past 2 times or not, I still feel like a win over Volk in this day and age is a big deal. And Lopez coming in without having fought that many big names in the UFC, regardless of the 5-fight win streak, I feel like for him to win the title right now is a big feat. It might be too quick for him though. It might be too early for him to be taking on somebody like Volkanovski, but I guess we'll have to see. He looks like he's hungry. He's got a lot of animosity to Yair Rodriguez. They were talking a lot of shit in that press conference because Yair doesn't like that. Lopez fights out of Mexico and trains in Mexico, lives there right now, but he's from Brazil. So he reps both the flags and he reps them hard. So, but Yair doesn't like that he's repping Mexico. So they had a lot to say to each other, but I feel like this is going to be a great fight and I'm fucking hyped and pumped and I'm ready for this fight to happen. I'm excited to watch it on Saturday night. So let's see what the fight wheel has for us before we get out of here. Let's take a look at how the fight wheel did with predictions last week. Let me look at the main card. We had Lerone Murphy getting the win, which he did. We had Chang-Ho Lee getting the win, which he did. Tavares getting the win, which he did. Gurul getting the win, which he did not. Ode Osborne won that one. Brito getting the win, which he did not, because Sabatini won that one. And Valentine getting the win, which he did not. Finney got that one. So 1, 2, 3. So it was 3-3, 500 record for the fight wheel last week. Let's see what the fight wheel predicts this week for UFC 314 in Miami. Let's get into it real quick. Where the hell is it? All right, here we go. Fight wheel time, predictions. Here we go. Prediction number 1 for the fight wheel for UFC 314 pay-per-view this Saturday. It looks like Volkanovski starting off hot with the main event. Alexander Volkanovski getting his belt back against Diego Lopez. So we'll see how that pans out. That's a pretty good pick so far. Let's go to the next fight for the fight wheel predictions because I suck at betting. Oh shit. The fight wheel was predicting, ooh, so close, but Bryce Mitchell gets the win over Jean Silva. That one I don't see happening, but maybe that's wishful thinking on my part. So Bryce Mitchell is what the fight wheel predicts to get the win over Jean Silva. A few more fights to go. Let's see what else the fight wheel predicts. Looks like Michael Chandler getting the win over Paddy Pimblett. That's very well, I mean, that very well could happen. So not a bad pick there. Michael Chandler over Paddy Pimblett. Let's see, we got 2 more fights left. Yair versus Pitbull, Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. Looks like Yair gets the win over the UFC debut of Patricio Pitbull. 1 more fight left. Let's see what the fight wheel has for a prediction. Pitbull losing his debut in the UFC according to the fight wheel. Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. Let's see who wins. It looks like Krylov's gonna win according to the fight wheel. All right, so that's it for fight wheel predictions. So it looks like we have Volkanovski winning the title, Bryce Mitchell beating Jean Silva, Michael Chandler beating Paddy Pimblett, Yair Rodriguez beating Patricio Pitbull, and Nikita Krylov beating Dominic Reyes. Take what you will from that. Bet if you want, or just tell your friends that that's who's gonna win and see if you're right according to the fight wheel. That's it for me. That wraps it up for the show. Appreciate everybody who was in the chat. Christian Flores, 305 Chunks, DJ Magix, DJ Infinity. Appreciate you guys. Combat Sports Today, always representing and always supporting. Appreciate that, guys. Thanks again. Anybody else who comes back and watches this later, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to tell your friends, like and subscribe, and do all the fun YouTube stuff that is supposed to happen. Christian, good luck on your bets, man. Drop a comment in here of what you finally bet, and I'll see it. So maybe I'll ride with you on those bets. So let me know what you lock in. Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the fights on Saturday. You got PFL happening Friday, tomorrow night, and then you got UFC. I think there's a boxing match going on this weekend. Boots Ennis, I think, is fighting this weekend as well. But I was hyped for this UFC fight, so I didn't cover it. But yeah, enjoy all the fights. As for me, I'll be watching on my phone, but I'm going to be watching. So take it easy. Come back next Thursday. Catch the recap of everything and all the other combat sports news out there. That's it. I'm out. Take it easy. Peace.